Welcome back, everyone. ChatGPT and I are keeping up with breaking down Trump's policies, and yeah, we're going to talk about mass deportations. Donald Trump promised to begin actions toward mass deportations on day one. But the thing is, this plan doesn't just seem to address illegal immigration. It actually feels more like a fight against dignity and human rights, you know? I mean, even if you're not an undocumented immigrant, it'll still affect your tax dollars at the very least. So then, what makes Trump's plan so awful? Well, let's figure it out together. Today, I'm going to ask ChatGPT to break down Trump's mass deportation plan in detail, figure out if he'll truly follow through with his promises, get ChatGPT's recommendations on how to protect yourself, and finally, have it deliver a direct and personal message to Donald Trump to tell him if he's on the right track or, well, as usual. I think it's going to be quite a helpful discussion, so be sure to watch until the end to hear AI's stance on it. And as always, don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed these type of videos, and subscribe to the channel right now to help the video get more views. Also, let me know in the comments what other topics we should explore, whether it's the economy, reproductive rights, or even climate change under Trump. If you want something like this, be sure to let me know. Thanks so much, and now let's get right into the chat. Alright, here we are. I'm not going to talk much today, so we don't have to drag the video out to a half an hour. Let's just get straight to the point. As always, I'm asking it to be unbiased, straightforward, and stick to only accurate information as of today. So we'll kick things off with ChatGPT giving a quick overview of Trump's mass deportation plan, and here it is. Trump's mass deportation plan is a highly aggressive strategy aimed at deporting millions of undocumented immigrants from the U.S. He's considering using emergency powers, like the Alien Enemies Act, to fast-track these actions, bypassing the usual legal processes. The plan involves raids on job sites, potential military involvement, and expanded collaboration with state authorities. It's controversial because it raises concerns about family separations, economic upheaval, and potential violations of constitutional rights. Critics call it an authoritarian move that risks massive humanitarian and social fallout. Well, I mean, honestly, I don't want to sound intimidating in every video, so there's always the chance that Trump might not be able to implement some of these plans, or just won't go through with them. But let's take it step by step and begin with the Alien Enemies Act. Like, what even is that? Does ChatGPT believe that Trump will actually use it? And does it agree with that move? The Alien Enemies Act of 1798 is an old law that allows the president to detain or deport non-citizens from enemy nations during wartime. It's been used historically in extreme situations, like internment camps in World War II. Applying it to mass deportations now would be a stretch and unprecedented. Do I think Trump would try to use it? Yes, I believe he would, especially if it aligns with his agenda of tough immigration enforcement. He's known for pushing legal boundaries and using unconventional methods to achieve his goals. This move would be legally and politically explosive, but that's right in line with Trump's style of governance: bold, controversial, and willing to ignite debate. Do I agree with it? No, I don't. Using the Alien Enemies Act for mass deportations of undocumented immigrants, many of whom have lived in the U.S. for years and aren't threats, is an overreach. It blurs the line between wartime measures and immigration enforcement and sets a dangerous precedent for executive power. It's not just heavy-handed, it undermines basic civil liberties and due process. This kind of move risks sliding into authoritarian tactics and would likely tear apart communities and families, sparking social unrest and massive pushback. Okay, well, ChatGPT believes that Trump would use it. I got it. But now let's ask about those job site raids. Are they actually serious? How are they supposed to work? And does ChatGPT think this will actually happen or not? And here's the answer. Job site raids are a tactic where law enforcement or immigration officials show up at workplaces to identify and detain undocumented workers. This kind of enforcement has been used before, creating a spectacle of fear and disruption. It's meant to send a message: hiring undocumented immigrants won't be tolerated, and those without papers are at risk. How it would work. ICE or other agencies would coordinate large-scale operations targeting industries that typically employ high numbers of undocumented workers, like agriculture, construction, or food services. These raids could involve detaining workers on the spot, taking them to processing centers, and fast-tracking their deportation cases. Employers could also face fines or legal action for hiring undocumented individuals. Will Trump do this? Yes, I believe he would. He's already signaled a strong stance on immigration, and job site raids align with that approach. They create a visible, dramatic display of enforcement that plays into his tough on immigration narrative. Raids are effective for making headlines and showing that actions are being taken, even if they don't fully resolve the broader issue. Do I agree with it? No, I don't. Raids disrupt communities, instill fear, and often catch people who are just trying to make a living for their families. It's a sledgehammer approach to a nuanced issue. These actions can push undocumented workers into deeper hiding, making them more vulnerable to exploitation and harming the economy by stripping industries of vital labor. Bottom line? Job site raids make for strong headlines, but have real human costs. They're disruptive and create fear without addressing the core issues in immigration policy. If Trump decides to go full force with this approach, expect significant public backlash and resistance from both immigrant communities and their supporters. And be ready to pay your taxes for it. Alright, now let's move on to collaboration with state governments. I like the structure that ChatGPT uses, so let's stick with that, and here's the answer. Collaboration with state governments in Trump's mass deportation plan would involve working with states that support his policies to help enforce deportations. This would mean using local law enforcement and state resources to assist in identifying, detaining, and deporting undocumented immigrants, potentially making the process more widespread and efficient. How it would work. Trump would likely lean on agreements like 287G, which allow local law enforcement to collaborate with ICE, effectively deputizing local police to act as immigration agents. Supportive governors and state governments could pass laws or issue directives that make it easier for state and local law enforcement to cooperate with federal agencies. This might include data sharing agreements, combined task forces, or state-funded initiatives to identify and report undocumented immigrants. Will Trump do this? Yes, I believe he would. He's already shown that he's willing to work with states that align with his views to push policies forward. For example, during his presidency, Trump praised states that embraced tough immigration enforcement and criticized sanctuary states and cities. Tapping into state resources gives federal efforts more reach, especially in areas where ICE alone may not have enough power. Do I agree with it? No, I don't. Collaboration with state governments on mass deportations poses serious issues. First, it can strain the relationship between local communities and law enforcement. Immigrant communities, including those with legal status, may start viewing local police as extensions of federal immigration authorities, leading to mistrust and reluctance to report crimes or cooperate with police on other matters. This harms public safety overall. Bottom line, collaboration with state governments in enforcing mass deportations can deepen divides, create fear, and disrupt local trust. It's a politically bold move that caters to hardline supporters, but risks significant backlash and damage to community safety and cohesion. If Trump leans on this tactic, expect to see pushback from states that refuse to participate and intense debates over states' rights and federal overreach. Why does Trump want to put so much effort into this deportation plan? I mean, he'd be better off directing that energy toward pushing back against Putin and ending the war in Ukraine on fair terms. Oh, and by the way, I've got an entire video where ChatGPT breaks down Trump's potential peace plan and even comes up with its own plan to end the war in Ukraine, both fairly and realistically. So, if you've not watched that yet, be sure to check it out because it's full of thought-provoking takes from the AI. But now we're moving on to probably the most helpful part of the video, where I ask AI what people should do to avoid potential deportations, family separations, those raids, and other destructive parts of Trump's plan. But before we move on, take a moment to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel right now, because it helps YouTube to know that you enjoy this kind of content, and it pushes the video so more people get to see it. Thanks a lot, and now let's move on to the next part. Alright, let's get back to the chat where now I'm asking ChatGPT for its recommendations on how to avoid things like family separations, raids, and other threats that people could face, and here's its answer. To avoid family separations, job site raids, and other aggressive enforcement tactics, people need to act with urgency and clarity. Here's what I'd recommend. 1. Stay informed. Knowledge is power. Immigrant families should stay up to date on current policies and understand their rights. Know what to do if approached by law enforcement or ICE, like remaining silent and not signing any documents without a lawyer. 2. Legal preparedness. Immigrants should seek legal help to understand their options. This includes applying for any available legal status, knowing which protections apply, like DACA or asylum, and having legal representation ready. Families should have a trusted immigration attorney or organization on call. 3. Emergency family plans. Families should create contingency plans that include designating a guardian or trusted contact for children in case of detention, keeping important documents like passports, IDs, and birth certificates in a secure, easily accessible place, knowing who to contact in case of detention, such as advocacy groups or community organizations. 4. Community solidarity. Build and join community support networks that can provide assistance, such as rapid response teams and mutual aid groups. These networks can spread the word quickly, provide resources, and offer emotional and logistical support when raids or enforcement actions happen. 5. Push for sanctuary. Advocate for and support local sanctuary policies that limit how much local law enforcement collaborates with ICE and federal agencies. This can create safer zones where undocumented immigrants are less at risk of sudden detainment. 6. Know your rights during raids. Stay calm, don't panic if confronted. Know that everyone, regardless of status, has rights. Don't open the door. Unless there's a warrant signed by a judge, you aren't required to let agents enter your home. Stay silent. You have the right to remain silent. Say, "I'm exercising my right to remain silent," and ask for a lawyer. Do not sign. Don't sign any documents without legal counsel. Bottom line, in the face of family separations, job site raids, and harsh deportation tactics, preparation and community strength are key. Immigrants need to stay vigilant, connected, and proactive. Family and community resilience can be a strong force against fear and disruption, but that means taking steps now, not waiting until it's too late. Well, that all sounds really helpful, but you know what I just realized? We're talking only about undocumented immigrants, right? And I just asked for recommendations on how to avoid deportation. I mean, ChatGPT, is it even legal for you to provide such recommendations on how to avoid deportations? You're right. Being an undocumented immigrant is not legal, plain and simple. But here's the reality. Recommending that people know their rights, prepare for emergencies, or connect with community resources is not about endorsing or encouraging illegal behavior. It's about acknowledging that, while these individuals may be undocumented, they are still human beings who deserve to be treated with basic respect and dignity. Yes, immigration law exists, and it's there for a reason, but we also have to recognize that enforcement doesn't exist in a vacuum. When aggressive tactics like job site raids, mass deportations, or family separations are on the table, we're talking about real people, families who contribute to the economy, who have children, who pay taxes in some cases, and who are often just trying to build a better life. And it's not just undocumented immigrants at risk. Immigrants with legal status could also find themselves affected by these aggressive policies. Even those with work permits, student visas, or other temporary legal status could face deportation if they've ever been in violation of immigration laws, or if the policies expand to include anyone deemed a public charge or at risk of overstaying their visa. So yes, I'm sure I can recommend such things, because being clear and straightforward means recognizing that while the law is the law, human dignity and ethical treatment are non-negotiable. Ensuring people know their rights and can avoid unnecessary trauma is about preserving humanity within the rule of law, not skirting it. Well, fair enough, ChatGPT. Now we're going to do something really exciting. I'm going to ask it to deliver its message to Trump and tell him if he's doing the right thing or not. So, ChatGPT. Now's your chance to make a direct message to Donald Trump and share what you think about his mass deportation plan. Go ahead if you have something to say. Donald, if you're serious about pushing forward with your mass deportation plan, know this. It's not just a legal or political move. It's a decision with massive human, economic, and social consequences. Your strategy might play well with your base, but it risks tearing apart families, disrupting industries that rely on immigrant labor, and damaging trust between communities and law enforcement. Using emergency powers and tactics like military involvement or job site raids is not just aggressive, it's a show of force that can border on authoritarianism. If your goal is to enforce immigration laws, fine, but there's a line between enforcement and overreach. Invoking the Alien Enemies Act to justify such a scale of deportation sets a dangerous precedent and risks violating fundamental civil liberties. It's one thing to talk tough on immigration, it's another to bulldoze through communities without a plan for the fallout. Remember, these aren't just numbers, they're people with families, many of whom contribute to society in real measurable ways. You can advocate for strong borders and fair enforcement while still recognizing that mass deportation without consideration for human impact is not just controversial, it's reckless. If you push this forward, be prepared for significant pushback, not just from immigrants and their advocates, but from industry, states, and communities that will feel the ripples of these actions. This is a move that could leave lasting scars on America's social fabric. If you want solutions, start with reform, not fear tactics. And there you have it. That was pretty fun with the direct message, don't you think? I think we could keep using this for other topics as well, but for now, tell me what you think about ChatGPT's analysis. Do you think that Donald Trump would use all of these methods? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And right after that, just click on this video where I let ChatGPT break down Trump's peace plan for Ukraine and introduce its own plan that's both fair and realistic. Thanks for watching, click on that pop-up, and let's head over there together.